Every character in Who Made Me a Princess explained. Warning, spoilers ahead. Athanasia, or Athi, is the heart of Who Made Me a Princess. She's not just born royal, she's reincarnated into the body of a doomed princess from a tragic novel called The Lovely Princess. In that story, Princess Athanasia was executed by her father, Emperor Claude, for a crime she didn't commit. So when our real-world protagonist wakes up as baby Athi inside that world, she knows her future ends at the guillotine, unless she changes the story herself. Since the beginning, Athanasia is defined by two things: self-awareness and fear. She remembers her past life as a modern woman named Li Jihe, and uses that knowledge to survive the palace's cold politics. But beneath her humor and resourcefulness, she's a girl terrified of dying and desperate for love, especially from the father who once killed her. As she grows up, Athi's intelligence and emotional depth sets her apart as she masters etiquette, magic, and diplomacy, all while trying to earn Claude's affection without revealing her knowledge of the brutal future. Her biggest challenge isn't magic or enemies, it's learning to trust that she can rewrite destiny. Mid-story, she goes from a cautious child walking on eggshells to a confident young woman who fights fate head-on. Her relationship with Claude evolves from silence and fear to genuine love, a transformation that defines the emotional core of the series. And when the truth about her reincarnation finally surfaces, Athi proves she's not just a princess written to die. She's the author of her own story. Claude the Algar Obelia is the emperor of the Obelian Empire, who's feared by his people. He's the cold-hearted father who defines his daughter's, Athanasia's, destiny. At first glance, Claude looks untouchable, a perfect ruler with unmatched magical power and a reputation for cruelty. But behind that icy exterior is a man broken by betrayal and a curse that stole his emotions. Claude's backstory is pure tragedy. After surviving a brutal struggle for the throne against his half-brother, Anastasius, he becomes emperor by killing almost everyone who stood in his way. The price was losing his ability to love. He even forgets how to feel, not just for others, but for himself. So when baby Athanasia enters his life, he treats her with indifference. To him, she's just another potential pawn in palace politics, and the daughter of a concubine he barely remembers. But over time, Athi's innocence slowly melts his walls as the once emotionless emperor begins to show faint traces of affection with an almost imperceptible smile, a moment of hesitation, a spark of humanity returning. Claude's curse and memory loss become central to the plot. When his past trauma resurfaces, it nearly destroys their bond as he forgets Athi completely and returns to the cold tyrant he once was. But even then, somewhere deep inside, he remembers her, proving that love can defy magic, memory, and fate. By the end, Claude's redemption is complete as he's no longer the emperor who ruled through fear. He's the father who learned to feel again. Jeanette Margarita is the kindest soul in the story, yet the saddest pawn in the Obelian Empire. In The Lovely Princess, she was the beloved daughter of Emperor Claude, the perfect princess everyone adored. But in Who Made Me a Princess, the truth flips as Jeanette isn't Claude's real daughter, but a product of black magic and manipulation created by Anastasius to claim the throne and destroy the empire from within. Yet, Jeanette herself has no idea as she grows up believing she's loved and legitimate with a pure and polite soul. While Athanasia fears Claude, Jeanette dreams of him by wishing for a family she's never truly had. When she and Athi finally meet, she's everything Athi isn't: open, trusting, and dangerously naive. Jeanette's tragedy lies in her innocence as she's not evil, but her very existence is built on lies. Her presence causes chaos between Athi and Claude as curses reignite and sealed memories unlock, with everyone she loves put at risk. But despite being a living tool in someone else's evil plan, Jeanette remains gentle to the end. Her defining moment comes when she learns the truth about her birth, that she was never meant to exist. Instead of turning bitter, she chooses forgiveness as she becomes the emotional bridge between Claude and Athanasia, proving that kindness can be just as powerful as magic or royal blood. By the finale, Jeanette gets what she wanted: a family not by blood, but by love, making her the most quietly heroic figure in the story. Lucas is an ancient magician, the strongest being in the Obelian Empire, and the man who turns Athanasia's destiny upside down. When he first appears, Lucas looks like your typical smug genius, arrogant, playful, and seemingly bored with the world. But that attitude hides centuries of wisdom and loneliness, as he's not just powerful, He's an immortal, having slept hundreds of years before waking up in a world that's forgotten his name. Lucas first meets Athanasia as a child and immediately senses her uniqueness, her soul, magic, and will to live. What starts as curiosity turns into mentorship as he becomes her secret teacher, protector, and later her most trusted ally. Unlike everyone else in the palace, Lucas sees Aphie for who she really is, not as a princess or reincarnation, but as herself. His magic is nearly limitless as he's capable of time manipulation, teleportation, memory sealing, and fighting curses that even Claude can't touch. But the real magic lies in his dynamic with Aphie as he teases her constantly yet quietly shields her from the darkness surrounding the Empire. Their bond slowly evolves from rivalry to love while being subtle with no dramatic confessions or fairy tale moments. Just quiet understanding between two people who've lived far too long with secrets. Lucas gives Aphie something no one else can: freedom. And in return, she reminds him what it means to care again. By the end, Lucas stands as both guardian and partner in protecting Aphie, who changed his eternal life. Felix Robane is the man who stands quietly beside the throne but holds the Empire together from the shadows. He is Claude's most loyal knight and childhood friend, serving as both the Emperor's right hand and moral compass. While everyone else fears Claude's wrath, Felix is one of the few who can speak to him honestly and survive it. He's the calm to Claude's chaos, the voice that reminds him he's still human beneath the crown. Behind his gentle tone and polished manners lie decades of loyalty and guilt as he watched Claude's downfall, his curse, and his loss of emotion and could do nothing to stop it. That helplessness shapes Felix's quiet determination to protect both the Emperor and Athanasia, as to him, Aphie isn't just the princess, she's Claude's second chance at happiness. Throughout the series, Felix acts like a surrogate uncle to Aphie, being the one who covers up her mischief, smooths over palace scandals, and subtly encourages Claude to open his heart. When Claude loses his memories, Felix's heartbreak is clear as he watches his best friend turn back into a stranger. He may not wield magic or royal blood, but Felix's loyalty is what keeps the royal family standing as he represents the rare kind of strength that doesn't come from power, but from unshakable faith. In a story full of betrayal, Felix proves that a few can remain good no matter how dark it seems. Anastasius de Algar-Obelia is the fallen prince, Claude's half-brother, and the man who nearly destroyed the Obelian Empire from the inside out. Once the legitimate heir to the throne, Anastasius was everything Claude wasn't: charming, ambitious, and adored by the nobles. But after losing the succession war, he was executed, or so history says. In reality, Anastasius was resurrected through black magic with his soul bound by a curse that slowly eats away what's left of his humanity. His return marks the start of the Empire's darkest chapter. Disguised under aliases, he manipulates events from the shadows by planting spies, spreading dark mana, and ultimately creating Jeanette Margarita, the false princess, as part of his revenge plot. But what makes Anastasius fascinating is that he isn't purely evil. He's corrupted, a man driven by grief, jealousy, and the feeling that he was erased from his own story. He once loved his brother and the Empire, but after betrayal and death, that love twisted into hatred. Even his manipulation of Jeanette isn't entirely cruel, as he shows genuine affection toward her, which makes his villainy all the more tragic. Anastasius' power stems from forbidden magic, giving him control over shadows, curses, and resurrection. But every spell drains what's left of his life and sanity, and by the end, his downfall feels inevitable. In the world of Who Made Me a Princess, Anastasius stands as proof that even love, when tainted by obsession, can turn into destruction. Ezekiel Alpheus is the golden boy of the Empire, and the perfect contrast to both Claude and Lucas. Born into one of the most powerful noble families, Ezekiel is the son of Duke Alpheus, a man whose political ambitions run deep. From childhood, Ezekiel was trained to be flawless, intelligent, eloquent, respectful, and always in control. He's the ideal noble, the kind of person everyone admires, but few truly know. His story intertwines with both Athanasia and Jeanette. In The Lovely Princess, he's Jeanette's romantic interest, being the charming prince who supports her rise to power. But in Who Made Me a Princess, the lines blur as Ezekiel meets Aphie and instantly notices her brilliance, wit, empathy, and subtle defiance. That connection sparks a quiet rivalry with Lucas and a complicated emotional triangle that never fully resolves. What sets Ezekiel apart is his conflicted loyalty. He genuinely cares for both Jeanette and Athie, but his father's schemes force him to play a dangerous game between duty and conscience as he becomes torn between helping Jeanette, who represents innocence, and protecting Athie, who represents truth. Despite being surrounded by manipulation, Ezekiel stays honorable as he never betrays his morals, even when his family pressures him to, making him the symbol of what nobility should be, power guided by empathy. By the end, Ezekiel remains a tragic figure as the man who could have had everything, but chose integrity over ambition. Diana is the woman whose love story began everything, and whose absence defines the pain at the heart of Who Made Me a Princess. Once a low-ranking dancer in the palace, Diana was never meant to be noticed by Emperor Claude, but fate, or perhaps tragedy, had other plans. Claude, who had long forgotten what warmth felt like, found himself drawn to her kindness, and for a brief moment, Diana made him human again. Their relationship was a fragile secret doomed from the start. Claude's curse, the one that stripped him of his emotions, was already taking hold as he could love but couldn't sustain it. When Diana became pregnant with Athanasia, jealousy and politics from the nobility turned their quiet romance into scandal, and soon after giving birth, Diana died, leaving behind nothing but a pendant, a name, and a daughter destined for execution in the original timeline. Even though Diana appears only in flashbacks, her presence lingers over every chapter as she represents pure love, something Claude lost and something Athie spends her life trying to reclaim. In many ways, Athie's journey is Diana's legacy, a second chance to heal what was broken between mother, father, and child. Diana may have been a minor character in the Empire's history, but emotionally, she's the foundation of the entire story, being the spark that reminded a cursed emperor and the reincarnated princess what it means to love. And that wraps up every major character in Who Made Me a Princess. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like and subscribe for more anime and manhwa explainers, and let me know in the comments which Who Made Me a Princess character hit you the hardest.